Hello, legendary leaders, and welcome once again to the enlightening episode of Legendary Leadership Bites with Fatah Khan. I'm your host, Fatah Khan, and today we are going to cover a topic which is courage to lead, the five best practices that you can have in which you can lead with courage. So, courage, what is courage? Basically, courage, if you see, it's like a guiding star that can help you to actually go ahead and illuminate more like a lighting house for the people. Courage is something that empowers leaders to stand strong, inspire others, and to drive positive change. Now, here are five best practices I'm going to share with you. How do you cultivate courage in leadership? The first one is embrace vulnerability. Now, we all know that vulnerability, in many a times, in most of the situations, is seen as weakness. But let me tell you, vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is your biggest strength. Because think of it, vulnerability, like who are the ones who are able to be vulnerable? Is it people who are courageous or who are weak in terms of their mindset? Of course, the people who are courageous. So when you are vulnerable, what is that you are actually helping people to do? You are helping people to also be vulnerable, because as a leader, if you are vulnerable and if you are able to be vulnerable in front of the team will also be vulnerable in terms of whatever they are sharing. Because when you do this, you encourage open and honest communication, and when you do this, you are leading by example. Like, I still remember in places where I was vulnerable in terms of sharing my limitations or the challenges that I had as a human being, as a person, or even as a father or a husband, being vulnerable of what are the challenges in my personal life that are actually sometimes because of which I'm not able to, like, maybe show up on time or go through certain things. When I became vulnerable and when I was open and transparent in terms of sharing my challenges, it was very helpful. And I remember the incidents from the time of COVID. I still remember, like, when I was leading teams and there was time, this challenging time of COVID, what we actually started as a practice was every week in, like, on Fridays, meeting the entire team. And there we actually never discussed business. We used to dedicate the last couple of hours from our team time, like on Fridays, to just discuss about ourselves, our personal lives. And when people were able to open up, when people were vulnerable, they felt like they have become powerful. They felt that the courage muscle that they were not able to actually exercise, they're able to, like, open up and show courage. And when they were able to do that, what is the beautiful thing that I saw was there was this strong bonding with the team members where people felt like they are heard, people felt they are understood. And that strong bonding brought a great teamwork, and because of which we were able to, like, do some great things for our customers and client and for the organization and get results. So that's number one. Second one is take calculated risk. As a leader, if you want to show courage, if you want to build courage, and if you want to lead with courage, you need to take calculated risk. Because think of this, courage is more like a tightrope walker crossing a balancing, like crossing something where it is a balancing risk between the reward with grace and precision. Just as the tightrope walker takes calculated risk, like somebody who is, like, walking takes calculated risk, leaders also must courageously venture into unknown to achieve greatness, because greatness can never come without taking smaller risk. And what is, like, smaller risk? Like, even if you look at delegation, is a smaller risk where you are taking calculated risk by delegating certain tasks or activities, or even delegating a project to somebody who is actually not at, if you see, they are not at there, but if you see that potential they already have, who have not done the role earlier like a project lead, but then have the potential where they can go ahead and still lead the team or lead the project, you give them the opportunity, because you are encouraging people to actually go ahead and take those leadership responsibilities. Like, that is a smaller risk. I still remember one of the things that we actually did in our meetings was we started, like, I started giving the opportunity rather than me presenting to my superiors. I started giving opportunity to my team members where they could go ahead and present to the superiors, and I'm just taking the backstage. I'm being there, but then I'm giving the front facing role to my team leads and to the managers so that they can go ahead and then explain. And then was it a risk? Yes, of course there was a risk, because now the way they present or the way they articulate, they may already not be at that level. But then, if I don't give them those opportunities to make mistakes, then how would they grow? Same with the clients, right? When they were client meetings, I would actually give opportunity to some of the team members to actually go ahead and present. And I would say, I'm there with you. So what would happen by taking these smaller risks is I would actually make the team feel, and they would actually see that there are opportunities for them to grow. And there is someone who is as a leader backing them up and giving them more opportunities which are front facing, where they can be seen and they can get that visibility, and also that actually helps them to grow faster and actually feel more motivated and encouraged also, right? And they're able to, like, they know that they are not yet ready, but the leader believes in them and gives them more opportunities so that they can shine in front of the customers, in front of the bosses. So that is what about taking calculated risks. Number three is speak truth to power. Now, what is speak to truth to power? Now, that's nothing but, if you see, courage is like akin to a lion's roar. It's bold, powerful, and unyielding in the face of injustice. Just as the lion defends its pride, leaders must courageously speak truth to power and advocate what is right. Because as a leader, you are being looked upon. People are looking up to you to see, like, if you are standing for the truth, if you are standing for the right, or if you are actually standing for what is not right. Because people will not be inspired by you just because you are technically great, or people will not be inspired by you by the car you own or whatever, like in terms of the assets you have. People will be more inspired by you because of the courage you show, because of the right things you stand for. Because if you are able to stand for the right things, people will actually be inspired by you. Because we all know, to do anything wrong, it does not take much courage. Of course, like, it might take some courage there, but then it's still easy when you have to stand for something that's true and something that's right. Because there might be hundreds of people who might be following the wrong path, or might be following the wrong practices, especially in the organization. But you, as a leader, what are you representing? What are you standing for? Because when you stand for truth, your people will start looking up to you. And that, when you are standing for truth, think of it. It is not only going to help you to become courageous by from outside, but it will actually build a super confident you inside you, because you know what you are doing is right. I still remember one of the organizations, there was this wrong practice happening, and my leader was also, like, somewhere my boss was also going ahead and then encouraging that wrong practice. But then I realized that I don't have to actually follow all the people who are wrong, but as a true leader, as like somebody practicing self leadership, right? I need to stand for the right. I need to stand for the truth. And I remember it was very stressful for me at that time, going through like some tough challenges, because I was not ready to manipulate the data. And of course, it was like sometimes overwhelming and everything. But then I was like still focused, because I know what I'm doing is right. I'm standing for the truth. When I stood for the truth, the confidence grew from inside. I started respecting myself more, because I realized I'm standing for something that's right. And believe me, when you stand for something that's right as a leader, your people are watching you. Your people are getting inspired by you, and your people will start following you and respect you. Because respect is not something that you can demand, respect is something that you earn. And how do you earn respect? By following something which is right, by standing for something which is right. So that's number four. And then comes lead with conviction. Right? Courage is like a compass. Right? If we all see, courage is like a compass which is actually guiding, like the sailor. If you see the sailor through the waters, it's like that compass. Same thing with courage for the leadership, right? It's like providing direction, purpose, and it's like something that will make you very strong. Because when you need something to go ahead and then do, that's when you actually define and communicate. When you are able to define and communicate the clear purpose, right? And that is where it also needs courage to stand for something that's big. And the last one that I want to share with you all is embrace change and adaptability. Now, we all know change is the only thing that is constant. We keep talking about this, right? So, when you are actually able to stand for something that is like change and you are adaptable for that change, that's also something that needs courage. So, if you want to lead with courage, you also need to become somebody who is like embracing change and being adaptable. Because today, in this fast moving world, when we are growing as a leader, we need to foster a culture of agility and innovation and collaboration, of course, by of course encouraging what is called as adaptability, by encouraging flexibility and continuous learning. And when it comes to encouraging adaptability, one of the biggest mistake that I've seen with many leaders is they try to avoid mistakes and they also encourage the team members to avoid mistakes. But let me tell you, if you are avoiding mistakes, then the chances for you to grow fast is less. The speed, if you want to have high speed in which the organization and your team is growing, then you need to encourage team members to do more mistakes. You need to allow them to do mistakes. Like, think of it, anybody who invented something new or was able to innovate something or bring some change, right? Did that happen at once and did everything go perfect? No. Like, I still remember from my corporate world when we were doing automation, when we were automating a lot of things that were that were done manually. When we started the project, of course we did a lot of mistakes, but then we actually allowed the teams to do mistakes, because only when we did mistakes we were able to learn from the mistakes. But only when we did the mistakes we were able to grow faster and we were able to automate a lot of things. So if you have to like allow your teams to be adaptable, you have to allow your teams to do mistakes as well. Now, one thing I want to remind you all while we conclude this is courage is not the absence of fear. A lot of people think this and then they get confused that courage is the absence of fear. No, courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of having fear. By being vulnerable, taking calculated risks, speaking truth to power, leading with conviction, and embracing change and adaptability, because leaders can cultivate the courage muscle and can build the courage muscle to lead effectively. And when you are doing this, you are more like the lighthouse, which is guiding a lot of life, who can be inspired by you, who can follow you, and who can actually grow as a legendary leader. So, thank you so much once again for all the legendary leaders for joining me in today's episode. Until our next episode, keep leading with purpose and impact. Stay inspired, stay influential. Thank you.